Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Mawanda Edmond from UTC Lila. In today's session, we are going to look at how a TVET trainer can use the H5P branching scenario content type in Moodle to create interactive and competence-based learning activities that help to strengthen a learner's ability to make decisions. So we need to first understand what a branching scenario is. So a branching scenario is just an interactive activity where a learner makes a choice and then experiences the results of that decision. This method is very appropriate in competence-based training because it does not just test what the learner knows, but it evaluates how a learner thinks, solves problems, and makes judgments at work. So unlike in the traditional quizzes, the branching scenario will put a learner in a situation similar to the ones that exist in a workplace, so that every choice they make will lead to a different consequence and a learning pathway. And this helps them to build their confidence and practical decision making. So for the start, I'm going to use my guide here. Okay. So this is my course called troubleshooting. I want to create an activity here that places the learner in a real, workplace situation whereby users are faced with different problems and the learner has to make a decision. Okay. So this script here is organized in chapter, and then we have some notes about each chapter, and then the scenario question, then the options available to the learners and the feedback on each. Okay, so again, to remind you, TVET trainers, it is very good for you to always have a script before you can have your content in the learning management system. This script will give you direction. You will not just have to pick, content from head or searching here and there. Okay, so when I come to my course, I make sure the edit mode is turned on. Okay, then I enter my course. Let me come to more. Then we have content bank. So I'll click add. We are looking at the branching scenario. So I select that. And this window here pops up. So we are going to be dropping our content here. Again, it is advisable you enter the full screen mode so that you have a better view. Okay, so let me refer to my script again so that we understand what we are going to do. So I'm trying to create some kind of maybe a game, okay? But the whole point is to put the learner in a real workplace situation. So this is how I'm going to lay my content. I will have a start screen which will have an image about my topic. Then I'll have some welcome details about the course. And then I explain to the learner how this activity works or how they should go about it. I try to call it ICT troubleshooting heroes. You know, I'm looking for all possible ways to arouse the interest of the learner and keep them engaged. Okay, so I'll have a chapter, some notes about the chapter. So once the learner has read the notes, and then I pop a question. Okay, I create a scenario question that is related to what they have just read. Then I give them options, you know. So we are trying to test their ability to think and make, you know, decisions while handling tasks. So I'll present them with two options, and then depending on the option they choose, I will supply an appropriate feedback to each. Okay, so my title here, it's ICT troubleshooting heroes. Then the content type I choose. I can decide to use course presentation, text, image, but I want to be guided by my script. So I said at the start screen, I'm going to have an image. Okay, so I'll have an image here. Then this I can call it start image. Then I look for that image. So the image has to be related to the course. Okay, so let me have this. Okay, and then I get done. So after the image, according to my script, what comes next? The course details. So the course details, it is going to be a text. A learner will have to read that. Okay, so I'll drag the text. I give it a title, course details, and then I have my details here. Okay, and then the title, I may not want to show this. I click OK. So after the title, I have so that we see how our scenario is building. So I click preview. So this is the learner clicking start the course. They have that welcome image, and then they have the details, then how it works. And now I want to go to chapter 1. Okay, so the introduction is done. So what does my script say? I hope you're seeing the importance of the script. It helps you to stay organized. So in my chapter 1, this is going to be my title, and then this is the notes. So I will copy my title. So from how it works, you know, the learner will come to chapter 1 already here. So I can provide the notes. I can put a link where they can get those notes. It could be a video. Okay. So here we are, chapter 1. I want to show this title in the view. And then, so if the learner is done reading chapter 1, I now need to pop a question. I need to create a scenario question to test what they have learned. So this is where the branching now comes in. So I will have a question here. This is going to be question 1. Okay, let me call it chapter 1 question. Okay, so what is going to be the question? I have my scenario question here. Simply copy and I paste it there. Okay, so this is the question. Now I need to provide the alternatives. Okay, so the question says a student reports that his computer is not starting during class. What should you do first? So the available options are the first one is check if the power is connected, and then the second is replace the motherboard immediately. Okay, so I'll come and I have the first option here. So we get done here. Okay, again, let us preview. Start is interested in the question. So this is chapter 1, the learner has read, and then now a question pops up. Assume you're a technician and the student reports their computer is not starting. What should you do first? You have two options. So if they choose option 1, there is a consequence. There is some feedback that should come up. And according to our script, what feedback should they have? Okay, it is here. It's going to come in form of text. Okay, and this is feedback for option 1. Feedback for option 1, and it will read correct. Always check simple connections first. Now watch the video about cabling and then proceed to chapter 2. Okay, so there is a condition for one to go to chapter 2. They must have made the right choice for this scenario. But if someone goes for option 2, which is the wrong one, we said they don't proceed. Okay, they don't proceed. We shall give them a feedback that says this is incorrect and make them return to the scenario until they make the right choice. Okay, so this is the feedback will still come in form of text. So I would say this is feedback 2 of option 2. Okay, and then I get done. Okay, so we again preview. So I don't want to preview from the start. I want to preview from the question, the first question here. So assume you're a technician and a student reports his computer. What should you do first? If they choose, for example, option 2, which is the wrong one, this is the feedback they get, that this is incorrect. Please return to question 1. Okay, so now we need to configure so that when they click proceed, they are referred to the question. So how do we have that? I'll come to the gear icon on this option, then click edit content. Then we have the advanced branching option here. Okay, so special action after this content. So if this feedback has been displayed, what should happen? Our interest is to have the learner go back to the scenario. Okay, so I will choose that after displaying this content, jump to a branch. And which branch? That is the question. Okay, and then we get that. Okay, let's preview this once more. So assume you're a technician, and so the learner chooses option 2. Incorrect, return question 1. If they click proceed, question 1 pops up. Okay, so question 1 pops up, and the student this time will have to read it properly and make the right decision. So if they make the right decision, they get this feedback. This is correct. Now watch the video. So if they click proceed, we expect the video to play here. So we come and configure that. So I need to attach that video that will play after, that feedback. I look for a video maybe about, computer cables. Computer cables. Okay. So I will maybe just grab this. So I grab its URL. Then I will have it there. I click in search. I click done. Okay. And after they have watched this video now, because they made the right decision, they should proceed to chapter 2. Okay. So I need to come and add text about chapter 2. Again, my guide is here. Chapter 2. Then the notes about chapter 2. So chapter 2 is about the network. So I put appropriate content. Okay. And then now once the student is done with chapter 2, I again pose a question. Okay. So this is going to be scenario question 2. Scenario question 2. I already have my question here. Okay. So the learner has two options. Option 1 is to guide the teacher to check the router lights. Then option 2 is suggest that they reinstall the operating system. Okay. So here also, depending on, you can always drag this around. So you see our scenario question 2 is here and the options. So I need to supply the appropriate feedback for each of these choices that the learner will make. So if they choose the first option, what should be the feedback? Correct. Router diagnostics are the first step when troubleshooting a network. And then they move to chapter 3. Okay, so I will put that text below the first option. I'll call it feedback 2. This is feedback 2. And this is what it says. Option 1, correct. Router diagnostics are the first step. Move to chapter 3. But here I want to tell them to end the course. End the course. But you can go on and exhaust all the chapters, that you have. Then feedback for option 2. This is incorrect. You don't have to restore the operating system at this stage. Please return to question 2. Okay. So I configure this. Edit content. Advanced branch option. What action should be done after this option has been displayed, sorry. I want them to jump to a branch that has that question. You can see my questions are here. Good. Okay. So again, it is advisable that after you add on any content or a branch, you preview. So far, this is where we are. I'll go to chapter 2. The learner is reading this, then there is a question. If they choose option 2, which is wrong, they get this feedback and return to the question. Okay. But if they make the correct decision, which is option 1, the feedback is correct. You need to check the router first, then end the course. So in ending the course, I need to have a message that is congratulating them here, thanking them for completing. Okay, so we need to come back to edit and we customize our end screen. Again, in my script, it is clear the message I want on the end screen. Kongs, troubleshooting hero, you've completed the journey through this. This is what you've achieved and the next step. Okay, so I'll copy this. How do we have the end screen? I'll come to the settings here. You can see the end screen. Okay, so I'll preview now. This. Okay, good. So it now appears end of course, Kongs, so once the learner reaches here, it means they have gone through all the different scenarios and you're able to evaluate whether they are making the right decisions and you give the appropriate feedback. Okay, so quickly let us go through what we've done, preview from the start. This touch screen can also be customized, so that we have an image here or a welcome message. And this button, start the course, you could say enter the course, begin the course. Let's see how we do this. I will still come under settings, then start screen. I want an image there. Okay, I'll want that image done. If it is done, I can save that. Yeah. So let's preview now. Oops, this looks nice. So this is the learner. This is our start screen. Start the course. So they have a welcome image here. You could customize this to, to your course. Like mine is about troubleshooting. I could edit this and have maybe troubleshooting here. Then welcome to becoming an ICT troubleshooting hero. So they read all these. Then chapter 1, and then the question. They have the different options to pick from. Which is the first one? It is correct. Then you watch a video about that concept. Now we need to do some setting here because this video is very important for the learner since it provides more information about their choice. So we need to make it a must for them to watch. So this button should not be enabled until they are done watching. So we go back to our editing. We edit this content, the video required to watch until the end. Okay, so we enable this. Okay, we have it enabled. We click done. So if we preview, next, they make the right choice. Proceed the video. You see now it is inactive until they watch and finish. That's when they will now proceed to chapter 2. And if they choose the wrong option, okay, we said they will always be referred back to the question until they make the right decision. So this is how we use the branching, scenario content type. Create content which is interactive and helps the learner to understand that the options they choose have consequences. But again, from those options, we are able to create a path for them until they make the right decision. So this is how the branching scenario works. There are a number of things we can do to play around with it so that we keep the learner engaged, but also drive them to a point where we want, So by using this, you're helping the learners to be responsible and be aware that the choices they make have, consequences. Thank you so much for watching. Please keep checking on this channel. There is part 2 of this video in which we are going to see how we can incorporate image hotspots and the scoring options to build a complete scenario.